Stocks bounce, but the leadership is still narrow. If M7 Bitcoin and the $1 exchange rate do not confirm together. Welcome to Dragon Bullion. The main signal today is simple. The Dow gains 0.59% and the Nasdaq bounced about 2%. But the leadership test is still not clean. Many M7 names have not created much return since January. That matters because a bounce is not the same as a restored trend. A restored trend needs leadership. Today we have a bounce, but we still need confirmation from mega cap tech. For US investors watching Korea, the useful setup is Samsung Electronics. If the $1 exchange rate moves toward 1,600 too fast, the practical call is this. Keep semiconductors at the center. The M7 group is the first thermometer. Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, and Nasdaq bounce is helpful. This is why the July calendar matters. Around the US Independence Day period, if those events remove uncertainty, if they add inflation or rate pressure, do not read a one-day bounce as permission to buy everything. Read the leaders first. If M7 rolls over again, Korean semiconductors become a trade to manage. Bitcoin is still stuck around the $59,000 to $60,000 zone. That level is important because for risk assets, that is a mixed message. Bitcoin and Ethereum should hold first. Only after that should investors look at altcoins or smaller speculative themes. If Bitcoin is weak and altcoins try to jump, the same logic applies to stock. If only semiconductors hold while the rest of the market stays weak. If semiconductors rest but chaos-stack, biotech, and second-tier names recover with real volume for more than one day. Today, that proof is still missing, so the crypto message for the stock investor, it is about liquidity. If Bitcoin defends $59,000 to $60,000, if that level fails, the $1 exchange rate is back near the 1,551 area. The US, if the dollar strengthens while the $1 exchange rate rises, the 1,601 area remains the policy danger zone. If the exchange rate moves toward that line too quickly, it becomes less about which stock has the best story. That is why Korean semiconductors need FX confirmation. Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. But new money should not chase them after a sharp bounce if the $1 exchange rate is accelerating higher. The good setup is simple. If those pieces line up, the KOSPI should be treated as the background index. The Korean won currency is the real macro filter. WTI crude near the $70 per barrel area is also a useful inflation check. Korea's market is again concentrating around Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. After Micron's earnings, there was a sharp move up. The lesson is that the leaders are volatile. Co-stack and second-tier sectors tried to bounce, but the move did not yet prove itself. One day of battery or biotech strength? A healthier market needs volume. So the Korea trade is still narrow. The main trade is selective AI memory leadership. If Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix drop, if they are already extended. For US investors, these are Korea-listed local shares, not US OTC price signals. Watch the local Korean market. The AI infrastructure story is bullish for Korean hardware, but it is not free. Data centers? If that cost pressure spreads into consumer prices and corporate margins, Apple's memory price issue is a warning sign. When high-end memory gets tight, if If suppliers absorb the cost, margins get hit. The memory litigation and China memory debate point in the same direction. The market is learning that AI demand is not just a growth story. It is also a capacity. That is why the Federal Reserve may not be able to focus only on oil and consumer goods. This does not kill the AI thesis. AI hardware leaders can still be winners. The report's timeline is important. The Nasdaq rebound. But the market should not forget September. As September approaches, a market can look comfortable in July and still require defense later. This means position sizing matters. New buyers should be more patient. A 5 to 10% shakeout in quality chip leaders is more useful than chasing a strong green candle. Cash is not a failure in this setup. Without cash, even a good thesis becomes hard to hold. The buy plan has 5 gates. Second, third, fourth, fifth. The reduce plan is just as clear. Reduce chase positions if semiconductor leaders give back gains without volume. Reduce Korea risk if the $1 exchange rate accelerates toward ceasing. Reduce crypto-linked names if July policy events or credit bill. It is a disciplined call. The market can rebound in July. Here's the market core. Watch M7, Bitcoin, the $1 exchange rate. If they stabilize together, if they break together, defense comes first. In this setup, the edge is not to predict every bounce. The edge is to keep semiconductor quality at the center and enough cash for the next real reset.